Alright, I think we can get started, at least get minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you good back there? Thank you. Alright. So quorum being present, I'm gonna call the June 17th, 2025 Conservation Commission meeting to order. We are being recorded and live on Zoom and for future broadcasting on cable and town YouTube. So the first order of business is accepting of meeting minutes of June 3rd, 2025. I can bring them up if we need them. Otherwise, are there any edits, questions, comments?
I don't have any.
I reviewed them, they look good.
Perfect. Anything else
I'm
good?
getting nothing.
Alright, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve as written.
Is there a
And
second?
I will second.
All those in favor by roll call?
Williams and I.
Bjork will die.
Gentilucci, aye.
And I will abstain since I wasn't here. Okay, second,
Oh, there's
And-
George, sprinting across the parking lot.
second is the request for certificate of compliance, 28 Haven Hill Road. My understanding is the house is being sold. This has a DEP file number 277-12. So this is an old one.
It's really 1979 that the order of conditions was issued.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
Hey, George.
Hey, George.
Do you wanna sit down here?
Oh,
Here you go,
no,
George.
I forgot. I stole the seat automatically.
Everyone clap. Made it. Nice.
Today was the day of transportation nightmares.
But you're here. You made it.
Right.
That's why you're doing what you're doing.
You got here
I had to
soon.
get a guy from Springfield to Boston
Boy.
Oh,
because his ride bailed on him. Yeah. It was,
Opposite ends of the state.
yeah, and there's no train that goes. It was, and then he missed his Peter Pan bus because we bought him a Greyhound ticket.
Oh no.
It was fun.
Oh, it sounds bad.
And then I bailed on you.
Alright, so we just started just to get things rolling, so we did the minutes, so you're
Okay.
good on the minutes.
Good.
We're on the COC for 28 Haven Hill.
Okay.
It's very old.
I know Brian asked me to upload photos from the sidewalk to that thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have Tamika show me how to do it while everybody's
okay.
talking because I have
Will you
no
email
clue.
it to me? I didn't get it, or
Yep.
did you?
No, sorry,
That's okay.
I was texting George.
We got distracted. Okay. So I have an aerial if we wanna look at it. I don't know if anyone did a drive-by too.
I did a drive-by.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
there.
fine. It's fine.
It has a fence, so they haven't gone any further.
No.
I feel comfortable issuing a complete COC. I don't know if anyone else has any.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
It's my understanding, and I could be understanding incorrectly, that this was issued for the subdivision project.
Okay, so we're just
do we
doing
have
a
to do
partial.
a partial?
Okay.
And the attorney had asked me, in situations like this where it's very old, why the commission can't do a complete certification and that they would only do a partial certification. He just asked out of curiosity, and I said that I would ask, cause I don't know the answer.
I would say because that's what the request is. I would think this one's this old, this is a town road, right?
Never,
Yes.
yes, it's a town road. I've never done it properly.
Did they not do individual? They must not have done
Can
individual
I email it to Melissa and then she can pull it out? Is
OCs
that okay?
for each lot back
I
then.
don't know how to do it from the
Yeah,
phone.
probably.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'll email it.
I haven't gone that
And then
far
we can
back in my
maybe-
records
Yeah,
to
no,
read
this
yet.
is pretty.
George, you want me to do it for you?
Huh?
You want me to do it
Is
on?
this the original on my phone?
Yeah, I can't figure out how to do it from the phone.
Of the house?
Yeah. Cause I would have thought this would have, if this is the original owner, it would make sense that it hasn't come up yet.
I bet it hasn't been sold
Maybe
in a
just-
very long time,
maybe.
because title searches are a lot more.
Yeah. Or it just hadn't been flagged the last time
Yeah.
it was sold, maybe. I don't know, I was just curious. Seeing the
Yeah,
date.
it probably, cause there have been times where we've had a COC request when a house is being sold, but they're not the original owner, and for some reason it wasn't caught
Yeah.
Before.
the first
yeah,
round. I don't know
okay.
how that happens.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit add.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go, let's see,
That's not right.
yeah, so they're way down.
Do we wanna consider doing a complete for the whole thing? Or we can at least do a partial for now and
There you go, way up further up.
think about it for next
the top?
time.
Oh, where's,
That DEP file number
My-
closed, do you
this-
think
Cause you
though?
took pictures.
I know I took pictures.
No, it's not closed, that's
This-
what
They
they're
issued
saying.
for one for the
completely
dash
screwed up my
12
album.
though?
Who
No,
would you issue it to is my question, if you were gonna do a complete, if the developer is no longer in
23.
existence.
Yeah. Here, let me try something.
so,
So go,
If that file number's closed, we can issue.
no,
a
it's
full-
not, that's what they're saying.
Yeah, the,
It's still showing as open when they did a title search
You know,
to sell the property, it's still showing as an open
I'm not
permit,
playing this
there's never been a COC.
text it to me.
I'm not.
even on that subdivision?
This
No.
might,
That's what the attorney
does
indicated.
this look like it was issued by the state?
Good question.
28
I'm
even.
just gonna email.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Yeah,
so this one was issued by the state.
A superseding?
Yeah, so this was before, it's the Department of, it's before like DEP was the thing, it's Department of Environmental Quality Engineering. So DEP has to be the one who issues the COC.
Boy,
Yeah, issued by the Regional Environmental Engineer in 1979.
that's weird.
So
oh boy, okay.
this was probably before Concom's had authority to act.
So we can't act on it.
I don't think so,
if we didn't issue it, no.
no. Yeah,
They, I don't think they're not gonna have it for closing on Wednesday, which is
No.
tomorrow.
I feel bad, that's nothing I picked up on.
it looks weird, that's why.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, so this is something that they need to request DEP to look at.
Right. I
Unfortunately,
wonder if you can still close with that being open, because people do it all the time. Right?
I would assume they do a contingent thing.
It does say date of receipt by Conservation Commission,
Yeah, but
but
it wasn't issued by us though.
yeah, definitely Department of Environmental Quality Engineering. They issued this.
I wonder,
You found it on the registry?
Mhm.
Did you check the registry?
Yep, that's what we're looking at.
oh, yeah, I was just gonna ask.
What's that?
Yeah.
This last book and page to me.
Wouldn't it show up in the registry?
1,
That's probably what
Six,
the title
618?
company
618,
came up
okay.
I
with.
think.
It doesn't have clear
Page
title.
142.
Just wanna see what that is. So there is a COC.
QE, that's a long time ago.
Right?
That was like 88,
Specific
1988.
So that was their
Issued in
name
Issued
then?
by us.
Yes, that makes sense. Probably wasn't even a Concom in 79 in Rutland.
And it was 77, it was actually issued.
Oh, it was
Yeah.
77.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, and it does say date of receipt by Conservation Commission, 6977, but then Department of Environmental Quality Engineering is all over this document.
and it, you know, it does look like other lots have been gotten partials from us, but I don't think we were supposed to.
Interesting. So there's no town signatures on the orders.
On the orders, no.
No,
When did we issue partials? Were they recent?
1994,
Oh,
so,
so not recent.
no. Was there another one?
That's so
Just won't let me
strange, cause
open
there
it.
had to have been houses sold in that neighborhood
Yes.
between
Yeah.
now and back then.
6996, book number, page number 355.
Extension, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and the extension was from the state.
Oh, okay.
That's weird.
It's gotta be because it's so old, cause
Yeah.
it doesn't say superseding order.
No,
And it
I think-
actually says something about if a superseding order were to be issued, so it's just an order of conditions, but it is from the state. Probably just cause it's 1977.
mhm.
See if they issued any, COCs for like, is there like a subdivision name?
I don't know if it says it on that order, or if it was just the developer.
Should
Surprised no one else in that neighborhood has run into this issue before.
Yeah, that's when
Right.
why she said it was 1994. I'm like,
Yeah.
there's no way anybody's not sold between now and then.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not a, doesn't look like it's a huge,
And what was the issue? I was
Subdivision, but-
talking to George when, was it the easement?
No, it was issued by the
issued by the
state.
state.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I think some of these houses must have been, some of them seem a lot newer than the 1970s in that area. So I wonder if other people, if other developers ended up building in there after this original developer. Cause I don't think some of those houses date back that far, but I could be wrong.
This was supposed to be our easy one of the night.
I know,
Right.
I thought that'd be good.
Uh-oh, that means we're in trouble tonight.
Yeah.
Well, if there was a final COC, it'd be showing on the registry, so I think
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
it
just
doesn't look like
gonna
there
hit-
is.
go to DEP, let DEP
Wait, there's one in 2017.
screw it up.
This is for a different order.
Well, on the Rutland GIS site, it says it was built in 99.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it seemed newer.
Yeah.
This
Was,
one-
was there a house there originally and they demoed it to build the new one?
I don't think so, cause I think that this was a developer that, but I almost wonder if it's kind of like a Brunel situation where Lenny Genkel started it and then he left town and then Clee took
Someone took
over it
over.
and, you know what I mean?
That's 22 years, like,
Yeah,
And they issued extension permits on specific lots too. Not just the,
yeah. I noticed that at the end of document, we have lot 8A,
in 9A.
which I'm guessing is this one.
Yeah. Oh, is that? Lot 85. That doesn't even make sense.
you know what this means, building area living versus year built?
The area that's livable space, square.
Because that says
yeah.
1976, this is another house, the house across the
I
street.
think that is, building area, like living area in square feet.
Okay, so,
look up the deed, you
There's
should be
20
able to
years
see the original
difference.
deed, right, for this
Mhm.
particular property?
So this is saying it was built in 98.
this, again, this is the house across the street, but like,
Okay.
just trying to search the neighborhood.
Even.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't
Weird.
Yeah.
think we can, do
Okay.
anything.
That's square footage.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, the first thing recorded is 1999 for a mortgage
Wow.
on this house. Okay, are we comfortable having no action and saying you need to go to the state?
Yes,
Yeah, I think they do, unfortunately. I feel bad, but it is what it is. This wasn't issued by Rutland Concom. So I don't think we can grant a certificate of compliance on this.
Yeah, okay. Tell them we are deeply sorry,
Okay,
wish we could help. Yeah, so the original deed, this Haven Hill Drive is referencing a subdivision from Blair, Hawthorne Estates, not Stately Homes.
that's so weird.
oh yeah, it was Stately Homes,
Cause there was like,
that was weird, yeah.
back in like around, I think in near Brian's neighborhood, there was like, it was like the Sunny Brook Estates or whatever, like way back in the
Yeah.
70s, and then it just went defunct and it never got built, but then somebody else built homes and
Yeah, Israel.
yes,
Yeah,
yep, that's what it was.
and he didn't finish either.
Nope. And because of that, we have
That's a lot.
water issues on the street.
Right.
Woohoo!
Hi.
No one tell.
Am I late?
No,
No.
I'm sorry to interrupt for the plant. Sit here quietly. Alright, so I would say they need to go there.
I will communicate that.
Okay. Main Street and Central okay, I gotta just let it go. Alright, next order of business then is the RDA for 213 Mary Paxton. You are up, Julian.
Well, we had our site walk. And we're hoping to be able to, it was mainly focused on that slope to armor it so that it doesn't keep eroding down towards the wetland. The plan shows exactly what we're proposing. And I think at the site walk, everything was shown, and I think it was in a good nature of what we're going to do, and everything else at the site has been taken care of. The chips were taken out. There's a nice berm all the way around to make sure nobody goes in there anymore, and I think we fulfilled what was asked and what we were supposed to do. And then the question was of the slope at the front, and it's really not a real big job to do, but it's probably a good idea to do it.
Does anyone wanna report on what they saw or findings, comments from the site visit?
The area that I think triggered all this first was where all the wood chips were dumped, whenever that was now, over a year ago, I think.
Yeah.
That all looks really good now. It has,
Looks real good.
yeah, it has filled in, a lot of vegetation, that looks a lot better. And yeah, a lot of the wood chip berm is in already protecting it, so. Yeah, that was my main area of concern, just to see that, and it looks really good.
Okay. Anything else on from other members who went? Anyone else go?
Oh, looks great.
Awesome. Alright, there was some comments from DP that I can share. I think they are similar to the ones from the last iteration. Talking about work that has happened in the front parking area, the back parking area. Recent site plans show that the fill may have been brought in. Wetland flagging is at the toe of slope. Commission should consider evaluating the wetland border to see if there's a potential that site activities could have resulted in wetland fill. It should evaluate if and what work has occurred, if and what previous permits and or approvals have been issued to determine what activities may require approval from the commission and what may require enforcement actions should certain activities not meet permitting standards. The commission should also consider the proposed uses, i.e. commercial, industrial, etc. of a site which may be subject to the MA stormwater standards. The department recommends that commissions evaluate compliance with resource area performance standards and the stormwater standards through the submission of an NOI and permit such activities if found to be approvable through an order of conditions. So I think part of that is part of what this application is for in terms of the violation aspect and rectifying some of the wetland fill. I don't know if we had comments about the other suggestions. I know that was kind of why, at least my thought about the order of conditions kind of came from these comments from the first time around. So I guess I still share those concerns, but
What is the current site use?
It's just a storage place for some equipment. It's a commercial zone, so they have a couple of trailers.
So it's zone commercial?
Actually, it's more tree type, flares that cut the brush, a couple of mini excavators, a brush hog. It's kind of just a place for them to be able to pack the machinery for a logging type tree maintenance operations. There's no impervious areas proposed, it's all gravel and
So I'm thinking like, I don't see how the stormwater standards.
it's a flat area, so there's no real runoff coming off of anywhere. As we saw, it's all pretty self-contained. And they're not proposing to do anything else other than armor that banking.
I feel like we've already done our due diligence on this property.
Certainly been out there enough.
I mean, if DEP.
They're looking at, so I just wanna comment on the comments, which I don't know where they're coming from or why. They're looking at a GIS plan at a large scale with tree cover. We've been out there last year, a couple times, we're out here this year, and we're seeing, and it's been surveyed, and I'm giving you what's on the ground so we can discuss it, and they're looking at stuff that is an image. That's not right. I had a discussion with Judy Schmidt on this, because of the other reason why I'm here, which is the next reason. I don't know where they're coming from with this stuff. You know, we've done everything we can to protect that wetland. It was an issue, we took care of it. During that issue, well, before this becomes an issue, would you consider looking into that? And Evan said, absolutely. I just want this to all just clean. That site is way cleaner than it's ever been from when it was just a dump, where they would just bring stuff and drop it and leave it. And that's not happening anymore.
Yeah, actually, that reminds me, Melissa, I don't know if you remember, but there were like cinder blocks and
Like
like piles
Like
of
a
debris.
a
Yeah.
giant, a
All's been cleaned.
Walmart worth of cinder blocks scattered throughout.
It does, the site's very clean, it looks really good, the actual area that started all this, the impacted area, has been restored, looks great. And then you had the plan you submitted of armoring that slope at the front that we had flagged, I think the first time we were out there. Cause it's stabilized-ish, but not totally stabilized, pretty steep, goes right down to the wetland, and they're proposing to stabilize it, so.
Yeah.
From my perspective, yeah, I think we've done a lot of due diligence on this, going back a year plus. I don't have anything else I see that the homeowner or the property owner needs to do here. I think what they've done and what they're proposing to me seems appropriate and adequate, and I'm okay sticking with the RDA.
I am too, and if DEP doesn't like it, then they can intervene
That'll
again,
be the next conversation I have with you guys in a minute.
intervention.
I mean, they make good points in their letter, I think we've already looked into all of that
Right.
stuff.
Yeah,
That's how I
looking
look
at-
at it. We've had boots
We're
on the
on
ground to look
address
at this,
On
yeah.
a GIS map, and they haven't been on the ground to
Right.
see
Yeah,
what's actually happening and how much time you've already involved into this.
yeah, we've definitely beat the wetland fill aspect.
Yeah. And we talked about this on the sidewalk, I think it's just worth mentioning again that it was another contractor he was leasing the property
He's gone.
to that caused that issue that is not there anymore,
Yeah.
so. It also, granted, he's the property owner, so ultimately it's his
Yeah.
responsibility, but it wasn't Evan that did that, but it's
Right.
He's
been
been very,
resolved.
yeah, very responsive.
Yes, yes.
And I think he's made it clear to the new people to not dump stuff.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, he doesn't wanna be back here.
I don't blame him.
No. He has done it, okay. Are there any other questions or comments about this? Otherwise, I think you have requested both negative determination and confirmation of the wetland boundaries, right?
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's what I wanna keep
Yep.
on the
Yep.
table for the next.
So are we comfortable approving both those aspects through this RDA? Yes?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay. Alright, just wanna make that explicit. So, I'll accept a motion for a negative, do we still wanna condition erosion controls even though it's like already done? Just to say we.
It doesn't hurt to, right? Doesn't hurt to have it in there.
So I'll accept a motion, negative determination of applicability 3
Hold on. let me
three
find it.
something. The condition of erosion controls be installed and inspected by the commission prior to work approved in this application. And that the boundaries as depicted on the plan are accurate. Which is positive as well. So it's gonna be both a positive and a negative determination.
Right. What number on positive? I think it's like two.
Positive one, right?
Positive
Oh,
one.
positive one, okay.
Or-
Hold on, boundary,
You have that?
No, it's
I thought it was
Two.
two.
it's positive two. Just 2A,
I think 2A.
2A.
2A. And
Yes.
what was the other one? Three what?
A negative
3, just 3, just
Three.
3.
Okay.
3,
You think we'd know this by now.
I know, right?
Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor by roll call?
Williams and I.
Bjork and I.
Gentilucci, aye.
Farrington, aye.
Dan's aye. Alright, so that is set. And then for 322 Main Street, they did appeal our decision. And Julian, I don't know if you remember, but we did have a specific discussion that we were not going to check off the box that the delineations were
remember that.
accurate.
Why do we have a sidewalk? I don't understand, cause it was, I thought the reason was cause we weren't defining the whole shoreline of the stairs. But what was within that part of the job obviously needed to be, that's still, we were at the sidewalk, we saw the blue flags in that,
I think
on that right side.
part of it, if I remember, was that just the whole property wasn't on the plan, and so DEP had comments to that effect, so we just were doing the work and not the boundaries.
Okay, well, the whole reason why I was here for that is because we're within 100 feet of that boundary, and we had a site walk for that boundary. And that boundary was actually approved in 17, I know it's expired, but it's on a plan when it was an overall project, and you guys have that plan. And I talked to Judy about this. I said, Judy, you're talking about a the GIS map. I have a actual survey plan showing the offsets. It's an 8-acre site. We're only touching 1.25 acres of it, if that, 1 acre of it, way up at the top of the hill. So, I guess they have a site walk scheduled to come take a look at it, but I just wanted to see if, from my end on this side, from me doing the job and going through, first submitting it, then doing a site walk, and then having a determination issued, the people who own it are like, what's going on here? When I talked to Judy, I said, well, how could we have had what I just explained and them not? I think it was an oversight that we didn't check off the boundary in the area that's shown on the plan. The plan I submitted was just the septic design. So I didn't show any lines further away than what were on that for you guys to determine. So I could see, and I had this happen in Palmer, that we had a 70-acre parcel, and I didn't show all the property. We were only dealing with 2 acres on 70 acres, and the Palmer people, DEP, said, oh, well, we can't accept this because you didn't show all the wetlands on the whole piece. We're not talking about the whole piece, we're talking about what's shown on this 40 scale drawing. And then we worked that one out there, but this one, I would just like to see if we can re-entertain that. We did have a site walk, not just once on that site, but now with this board, and I think, I don't know whether you may have been on in 17.
No,
No.
it wasn't.
So there's all new people, but there is documentation of a whole plan that shows the whole property. That's why it went into the subdivision it did with the senior housing up on the top. So I don't know what to tell my clients on, other than, yeah, they got a site walk that, and I talked to Judy, and she says, well, if we do the site walk, we'll determine on whether, yes, it'll go back to locals' hands or not. I'm like, well, it's already been at their hands, and
They could kick it back to us.
we've already determined, and just so you know, the trees from that point, from when I got that, they went to it, right to town after that night, and it's been cleared. And the silt fence has been put in. So we're right where we thought we were gonna be in that quick time. So I was hoping when I called, I talked to Glenda right after I got that. I said, can we send it back to the DEP and say that we did look at, we had a site walk and we did determine for this particular part of the site, yes.
What does the RDA say
8
for that
acres.
question? Does it say the work shown on the plans is properly depicted? It doesn't say for the whole property when it refers.
No, it would have.
What's that little
That's an
checkbox?
assumption. I mean, I show the house, the septic, the driveway, the water supply on 30,000 square feet of the lot. I don't expect to be
Right.
given the okay to go to miles, which
What is the
is,
specific language? That's what we need to
I
find
don't-
out what
I
the
don't know.
RDA
Well, I think
checkbox says.
regardless, our decision has been appealed. So even if we were to, we can't change it.
Right.
We can't change it. And I,
well, can we reissue it?
no,
It's in
Why?
DEP's hands right now.
cause yeah,
Well, they're thinking that
so
you
you have
didn't do
to,
a sidewalk. Judy said, well, they didn't do a sidewalk, they didn't do this, and yes, they did. Yes, they did see it. There were people from the board at the site, we walked, do you wanna see something? It's very clear what we're doing, is that Pine Grove and the wetlands were off to our right.
They
see
told
the
me they
flags?
thought part of the septic was in the riverfront.
That's the thing that I got
It's,
out of
they're
the
way,
letter.
Yeah.
they're way off, they're wrong on
so
that.
then I think I don't think it matters if we were to change it or not, they would still appeal it. So I would
Well,
say
I think it
work
does
with
matter, cause they're
DEP.
thinking that we were wrong, and I'm not wrong, I'm
Well, so work with
100%
them.
correct.
So
Can
gotta
you
work
put the
with them.
riverfront area, will it go on the plan that?
It was, so.
It was on the
was.
plan, that showed where the line was.
So they think it's farther up, so that's why.
Based on their GIS map, I'm like, well, why don't you guys get it surveyed? How many times do I preach that? Come out, send your DEP people there and locate this winding trickle coming from the farm pond.
We can't ask them either to delineate the entire site for wetlands either,
No,
you know what I
I'm
mean?
not gonna, who's gonna pay for that? So-
I think no matter what if we were able to do anything, you'd still have to work through DEP. So I'd say work with them.
Well, I'd like them to know that there was a site walk. Can we just send them and say, yeah, we did do a
Yeah,
site walk,
that's
we
fine.
followed, we did our
Does anyone
whole.
have a issue
do-
with that?
I feel that I'm being,
Minutes too.
Yeah.
when things go into the DEP lately,
we had the site walk, and Glenda, I think you asked the question at the hearing when we chatted about this, that you said, so it's not in the riverfront.
And
Right,
it was
you
the big
conf-
thing about the zone A, we had a
Right,
big
and you
discussion.
Zone A and
about it.
riverfront are the same
Confirm all of
thing.
that.
And you confirmed it wasn't, and so we were satisfied, so that's
Yeah.
why we issued the negative determination. Reading DEP's letter, I think their concern, whether it's valid or not, their concern is that there is work in the riverfront, at least they believe there is.
I think,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they saw what Glenda was bringing up last
Yes.
time.
which is
Which we already talked about.
completely wrong.
So my suggestion is I assume you'll be at the site walk with DEP?
I guess I'll have to be, I mean, that's.
I would let them know,
These poor people that are looking to build their houses, they
I
just
know.
didn't, they're not sure what's happening, why, we went through the process of what's going on.
I would suggest let DEP know, you did have a site walk with the
Oh,
commission.
I let them know, I'd like to have
And-
this, maybe send something to Judy saying that we did what we were supposed to do here, so there's no miscommunication that.
I would send to them, your confirmation that here's where the riverfront area ends, here's where our limit of work is, we are outside of it. I would say give that to them and
Yeah.
that might convince them
They
to
have
say,
that
oh,
on, they
you
have
guys are
that on
good,
that
and they'll
plan.
kick it back
that
to
they
us
appealed.
and, yeah, and it'll be fine, but.
No, she didn't,
I
she,
believe we added a condition as well, or a finding of fact in our conditions that we recognized that there was a zone A and we were gonna mention it to the Board of Health for the septic
That wasn't the meeting
purposes.
minutes,
Yep.
yes.
yes, it was.
We added
Yeah.
it to the DOA as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I put it in the conditions as a finding of
So-
fact.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they should, yeah, so
I find it odd that I have something that I'm 90 feet away from the wetland, and we're actually lower than the wetland, and they appeal it. And there's other ones that have gone through that you're 10 feet away from with the septic system from a wetland. It's just something, I think something's fishy in the DEP with my stuff coming in here. And, I'm not gonna sit back.
Has there
I
been-
I would be done already, but this just got me going more. You
Has
ask, why am
there-
I still here? Cause I'm gonna prove them wrong, and it makes me very upset that these poor people are looking to build their home, And they're going through a ringer, we followed the steps.
Was there
It's not right.
past appeals on like, cause this was part of a larger,
No, this
Parcel
is
at one
one
point?
single lot.
was it part of a larger, like, in the past though?
In the past, it was part of a farm, yeah.
Did that ever have any issues going through any permitting?
Nothing.
So there's not even.
Here's a
historic-
recipient of one person that lives
Yeah.
right next door to the
Yeah.
lot.
Okay.
She's right there.
But
We
the lot's
went
going
through
all the
this
way up.
process with
That's
your
it, like-
lot.
Yes.
The lot's not even going down the hill,
No, it's
the
not.
lots
It's up at the,
up at the top of the property.
it's a long driveway and it's at the
Yeah.
front part of
Right,
the
and the
property.
pond is, the pond that we're talking about is higher than the lot that we're dealing with on.
Oh, yeah, I
grading
don't
wise.
think they're concerned about that wetland
Well, that's
on
where the
east side.
200 foot thing comes out of.
Would it come off
Cause
of
that's
that
a
or?
DCR protected pond with a 200 foot zone. And then the brook that comes out of it, the outflow,
Oh, you're
has a
talking about,
200 foot line, which
you're
is
talking about primary protection zone.
primary
DCR,
protection,
I
which
get
is
you.
the same.
That's
That
different than
brook is the
riverfront though.
exact same 200 foot from the bank of the brook is a Riversville,
Yeah,
and I'm outside of that.
yeah.
So,
I would just prove that to DEP and hopefully they agree and they kick it back to us and,
no, well,
we end up
it's
back where
unfortunate
we-
for the poor
And
people,
or just
but-
issue it.
or just issue
Yeah.
it, yeah, yeah.
so,
I agree, it's, if that's where we end up, it's unfortunate that we had to go in a circle, but,
yeah,
you know, DEP, they have
just,
that power.
I just wanna make sure that they realize we didn't drop any balls and there was nothing done there,
I remember talking about it, Linda
so.
brought it up, you answered it,
Yeah.
we were satisfied.
Cause I think I was with Joe in 2017 doing that site visit for the. Was it an ANRAD? There's an ANRAD
It was
for
an
it, wasn't
ANRAD,
it? Yeah.
yes, it was an ANRAD, but it's 2017, and Judy, maybe it's covered, but because of COVID, but that's
Just
time,
outside.
2023, I guess, was the kicker, but still, nothing's been changed there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And Jimmy Susi went through a lot of
yeah,
mumbo jumbo with the DCR for having his house back there, and this was the same situation.
Yeah.
So, it was resolved, it was okay. Tamika's living in the house.
Mind my business.
So,
no, you're not, you're out there with
Yeah.
well,
She's
hopefully, I mean,
legally
it's
living
only, I
there,
think it's
right?
next
Yeah.
week that they wanna do this, but I wanna make sure we're all on board here. What you saw was high and dry. If you needed a cup of water, you would have been out of luck.
You have to go way down there.
yeah,
So, all right, well, that's it for me.
okay. I hope Monday
I'll send
goes
them an
smoothly,
email.
but yeah, we'll have, Tamika's on it.
On
Yeah,
it.
just to make sure that they realize, and as they're watching me, I'm watching them too. You can add that in.
Okay. Is that a direct quote?
Some, one of us.
I mean, fair is fair.
1 and 2,
What time is it on Monday?
2 p.m.
I can't make that.
This coming up Monday?
Monday the 25th.
I can't
That's
go.
sooner than I thought.
yeah, at least
Alright,
it's,
well.
at least it's fast,
I'll
so
be
I
out of
think, maybe you got something in their mind.
Good, I hope so. We'll see if they show up.
She told me when I texted,
they
she
not
wasn't even
before?
sure if they were gonna issue this.
They have.
I'm gonna be looking with my binoculars.
That's it.
Yeah, Tamika will be at home.
All right, well, thank you. So if it does get kicked back, then we're back on board again and we'll do what we gotta do.
If
It gets
it gets kicked back,
Do we have to do
like,
it again?
I don't think so,
No,
do we?
Well, then that's why
No,
I'm
'cause we
saying that
approved it,
check mark,
right?
that you did
Yeah.
agree with the
Yeah.
boundary, that would be an important factor to.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter. If they kick it back to us, then you're good,
What-
regardless of if
I was gonna
it's
say
checked off
whether
or
or not we approve the delineation or not
They
as
would
part
still
of
have
the
appealed it.
negative determination, well, I guess that would be a positive,
Yeah,
right,
that'd be
that piece of
fine,
it. But whether we had or not, I feel like it doesn't matter in this
That's
case.
what I
not.
think.
Yeah, they
We-
didn't
we-
care.
What do I know? I've only been doing this
The
since
work is-
1986.
The work
I
as
mean,
proposed is fine.
Every time I come, it's a different, it's same thing, but handled a different way.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
well, let's get some consistency
you
here.
never know what's coming.
But I feel like I'm being singled out. I don't like being singled out.
So you're not the only one.
Well, thank you.
Thank you,
Talk to you
Julian.
later.
Bye.
Good night,
Luck if we
Julian.
don't see you on Monday. Okay. That's bizarre. Okay. Old and new business erosion concerns, 140 Pommogussett. So it sounds like you guys had a really fun site visit. I have
I
some,
uploaded George's photos, so you should see
I
everything on there.
will share these now. And Tamika, he also emailed you this link, so when you
Oh,
can get to
fantastic.
it, can you put these on the?
I sure can.
Sorry, I am a
Don't be
technological
sorry, it will take you no time at all, don't worry.
dummy. I'd still have a flip phone if my
Oh,
work
this
would have
is
let me.
next to
I really would have.
Marketplace, this is
Yeah,
that slope,
next
okay,
to it.
oh, I don't know why, I was not thinking this is what it was, okay.
So this is, what's his last name?
Rosario.
Sorry.
Damn,
Yes.
sorry.
You have the video too?
You know,
Maybe.
I should add the video to this.
You should
Yeah.
definitely add the video to that, because the video
Video
is
is-
far more convincing.
Was there
than-
flowage?
No, but this is, video from the storm, like
Yeah.
8 inches of rain that we had. It was like mini Niagara Falls.
Yeah, and it ran for 10 hours, is what he said.
I'm gonna find the video, so.
I have it, you want me to text it to you?
And it
No,
was
now why did the planning board
Extremely turbid
was
runoff.
concerned about this for what?
The gentleman brought it to the planning board's attention.
Oh, that's already met with them.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
last,
I
last
forgot
It's
about that.
believed to be coming from the active subdivision up behind him, which is under the planning board's purview.
Did you find it, Brock?
Not yet.
I got it.
I
Oh,
thought
And I
it was
believe a
coming from
couple-
the field, it's not, it's coming from the subdivision?
Oh, yeah.
No, you're thinking of Mike Pantos and the Rutland Marketplace
Yeah.
that he
This is
brought
not
up.
This is further down.
This is
Oh,
further
God,
north,
okay.
This
further
isn't,
north
this
on
is further
Pommogussett.
down,
Okay.
Past the dam.
right across from the houses that are
I just sent
above
it
the
to you.
swamp.
Yep, okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so
Yes.
way further down.
yes, yeah.
Right before
What's,
Grinnell.
what's the
Grinnell,
street?
yeah.
Is it Lizzie Lane? Is it, no.
Arrowhead Way, the one up above.
What's the one right off Pommogussett, you go,
Britnell.
Britnell.
you go by it, it's
No,
on the
no,
right, you
no.
go by it, and then
Oh.
it's after that on the right.
Let's put it this way, if you drive by
Oh,
and you
Vista?
just keep looking
Vista.
right.
No,
I know
Vista
exactly,
Circle.
yeah.
No way you can
So
miss
yeah,
it.
Yeah.
go by Vista Circle, that's on your right,
Cause I
and it's
think
a little
this
bit
is,
down on the right.
yeah, this is, yeah, got it, never mind, we're just gonna continue. So is this like a stone
Well, so this is
It's just
showing
stones covered in sediment.
sediment depositing, being deposited in the wetland below, so across the street. This is what brought us in.
Oh yeah, because Melissa wasn't here last time.
Yeah,
Right.
that's why I'm like utterly
Yes,
confused, okay.
yeah.
Oh, that's right, we should recap all of it.
So the resident
I'm trying to
across the
send
street gave us
the videos,
permission
but
to go on his property, cause the wetland is located across the street.
So Melissa, this is Mr. Rosario's property,
Mhm.
where the eroded slope and all the runoff was
Mhm.
coming from up here, this is what's it called again,
Arrowhead
Way.
Arrowhead Way, so that's
Okay.
Arrowhead Way,
and Grizzly's right here.
Grizzlies
Oh,
over
okay,
here.
got it.
So that's Mr. Rosario's property, so Tamika got his permission from 137, so we walked down in this area.
And then the planning
Okay.
board that day, Alex got his permission next door.
Right,
So we did both.
137, so we were walking back in
Okay.
this space here.
And so these
It's all sediment
photos
deposits.
are
Yes,
where?
across the
These
street.
are at the back
Okay,
here,
137,
at the
139.
back of 139
Okay.
and 137.
So it's
yeah.
made it across the street.
Yep.
And
Yes.
into the wetlands.
And into the
Okay.
wetlands.
Got it.
And there's if anybody argues that the sediment is old, you can also go and look at the gigantic pile of asphalt that's right on the top, about 12 feet down the hill, that clearly got washed off recently, that I forgot to take a picture of.
Oh,
So-
from the road work.
So the old sediment theory is out the window.
That's a good thing to know then. Okay. That's a lot of staining.
Are my pictures in here too, Brian?
Yes.
Jared got pictures
I
of
took,
the
there's a
orange.
stream coming through, more on 137 on their property, but we'll get to those pictures.
Yeah, these
It's-
ones, these were George, he was like bushwhacking into.
Disgusting.
Yeah, it was
It
gross.
gets worse.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keep going.
it's really bad.
There we go.
Yep, so you can tell,
So according to Mr. Rosario, there was like 3 inches of sediment that had to get cleaned up off of Pommogussett Street,
Off the road itself.
off the road itself by DPW.
Yep.
And the neighbors, 137 or 139, they literally dug up their front yard to build a berm
Yeah, I know what you're talking about,
on
yeah.
the front of
Yeah,
the
that was
guard,
137.
guardrail.
so they literally removed 4 feet of
Yep,
grass around their yard to put it up along the road to
Right.
divert the water.
And you can see where the water even where they dug out, you can see where the water went down and to the right, and
It's not steak.
Where are these things? Trying to remember. This is,
What is
this
this?
is behind 137, so that's like in this area. I don't remember what that stake was there for.
You found it?
I found it, I'm just trying to figure out how to add it to the folder.
Ugh.
Oh my gosh, it's
So,
like rust color.
We
Yeah.
think the color is probably from iron
Yeah,
in the sediment that
Mhm.
washed through here.
those.
So
like-
it looks, I mean, it looks bad. The iron color makes it look worse than it is, but it's still, this doesn't look like sediment that's,
Is this
Been
at the
here
base
for a
of the
year.
lawn?
no.
Is that an old ECV stake?
Uh,
Is that the swamp edge?
well,
I don't think it was an erosion control stake,
Okay.
no.
no, but
Not in
if
this
you
area.
remember where 137 had that, like, almost like garden path
Yeah,
cut through,
yeah.
so it could be something marking.
Okay, so this is, you're seeing clear like sediment accumulation
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a big, go back,
as a result of that.
yeah, that's a big pile of sediment.
Yeah, that's-
And you can see, we could see all of the mud.
Yeah, this is
built
the
up
wetland across
on-
the street though?
Yeah,
Yeah,
onto the
okay.
reeds.
Onto the phragmites there, or the reeds, you could tell that it was pushed up against it.
Sorry.
So that was fresh.
Yeah, it definitely looks a lot more fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like who do we enforce? Who's the property owner? Who do we send the
Well,
enforcement
so
on?
we've just started.
Right.
We went to another site after this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
From where it's coming from.
Long sidewalk.
This is 2.5
We were out there
hours.
for, yeah, 2+ hours.
Really?
Yeah.
where'd you go after this one?
Okay, so let's come back to this one. This is the trash on Grizzly.
Oh,
That
got
they,
it,
that
got
he's,
it.
that's still there.
Yeah,
Okay,
Alright, so this is where these stop. Okay.
Well, pictures are out of order because that's
Oh,
that's still sedimentation.
Is this, that's Grizzly,
That's Grizzly. Bottom right.
this one?
No, go up one more,
Oh, this?
right there. So that's where we started up on Arrowhead.
Yeah.
So this is at the edge of the yard, and you could tell who the developer just pushed all of the stuff that they scraped off just down the hill. And all those trees, the trunks of the trees are just under dirt, and they're all dead now.
Several
yeah.
feet of dirt.
Yep,
right.
so all those trees are dead,
How old is this subdivision?
brand new.
And now the homeowners are gonna be responsible for moving them trees.
Yeah.
And,
Between the first time that George went, like 3 weeks ago,
yeah,
there was nobody living there, and now there
now
are.
they're sold. And
I will say the roadway has not been accepted by the town yet, but the
Okay.
request has been put forth.
there's
Okay.
probably no way to get those trees over the house, like,
Did-
out of the area without taking them up over the
Crane.
house.
Yeah, and it's the same with Mr. Rosario's backyard. Him and his neighbors now have dead trees because of the washout.
We didn't have any permitting on this subdivision, right, cause it's up on the hill?
It's up on the hill.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's jurisdictional if it's coming from
Mhm.
here.
Yes.
Oh,
So did you find a clear path from
oh my God, we found like
the
7 of
hill?
them.
Okay,
Yeah, there were signs of erosion at several locations up here.
Yep, and you can
Right.
keep going through, and there should be pictures of them.
Both through the residents' yards, from the road to the back of their property, and then once you get to the back, I mean, it's pretty steep and.
You can see
and
it right
there's
there.
yeah, right
Significant
there.
washout in a couple areas, yeah.
I just added the videos to the,
Ah, yeah, there it goes.
The
Oh,
videos
yeah.
are
Alright,
eye-opening.
hold on, I might have to refresh, hold on.
and Dick and Norm Anderson, they're like, wow, this is
Yeah.
bad. So they even,
Oh,
Yeah,
This isn't even the bad one. That's the left side of his house. That's where it's actually pretty
so
good.
this is on Pommogussett.
Yes,
Yes.
that's 140 Pommogussett Road. If you're looking at the house, that's the left side of his house.
An Arrowhead.
yeah, and that's not the bad side. Wait
And
for the
that's
next
not the
video.
bad side. Wait till you see the next video.
I love the lightning, sorry.
dramatic effect.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh no.
Just
That's-
let this whole one roll.
No.
10 hours.
a bit scary.
It had, yeah,
It's terrifying.
It is.
Damage, you know?
and like,
And
Jared
the developer
said,
says
there's
it's not his,
18 inches of
not
sediment
his
at
responsibility.
least
Yeah,
built up
two rungs
behind
of
the
that
guy.
ladder are
Yeah,
under
behind the
sediment.
guy's shed.
Yeah, it's significant,
And thankfully, none of it made it into his house.
Right.
luckily.
Oh, the lightning, did you see
I
it?
know.
Oh my God.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty apparent that it's coming from up top. I don't know. I'm no
It didn't come from the bottom.
I'm no rocket scientist, but you know, gravity tells you water flows downhill.
There is a letter in the file as well, cause Kevin Quinn from Quinn Engineering did go out to the site as well
Yep.
and provided his feedback.
Okay.
And he did have some observations from up on Arrowhead.
And Norm did say that he spoke with Clee last week and they put berms this week across 3 of the driveways.
Right.
So, we don't know if that happened or not, but.
They were going to put berms across 3 of the driveways.
Alrighty then.
And the color of that torrent was what we were seeing down at the edge of the wetland, that rusty.
It is likely. I love that they have to put, it is likely.
Right. It's likely.
Okay. What do we need to do?
What can we do? That's the question.
Well, if you thoroughly believe that but these are all sold now, that sucks for them. That the water is coming from these properties and is directly impacting a wetland resource area, then we could issue an enforcement order. The downside is that it would then ultimately become the responsibility of the individual homeowners. We could put the contractor as a violator, but if it's coming from specific properties, then it would then falls on the owner of the land,
Even though the land was just sold,
correct?
even
it's
though
coming-
there's still a 1-year warranty on the house.
Correct. They could do that civilly, they can go after who they bought it from, but our legal ability remains to whoever currently owns the property. So
Okay.
even if like a tree company goes and cuts trees on someone's property,
Yeah.
we issue an enforcement order to the tree company.
Yeah.
If it's still the homeowner or property owner's responsibility to
Pay
make
for
sure
the
that
trees.
compliance, yeah.
Okay.
So it's like the same concept.
But if all the water is coming from the road that isn't permitted,
If we
and
can,
that's washing into the wetlands,
we can prove its starting point is the road itself and not
it's
only.
it's likely that it's coming from the road.
So that was before we even headed up to the top of the hill to check out Arrowhead. My initial thought was, this has to be coming from the roadway,
The
based on
roadway.
that video.
Okay,
There's no way, yes, you've got houses on each lot
yeah,
and the grass cover could be better, but a lot of the lots are pervious cover. You've got some roof runoff, but just the way it was flowing down in that video, to me, that looks like it's coming from some sort of impervious surface.
yeah, the
And-
volume and flow, yeah.
Yes, and they actually, Dick had a copy of Kevin's letter when we were out on site, so I was able to read it on site.
Okay,
And that's basically my interpretation of his
Okay.
letter, was he agreed that it's likely coming from the roadway and it was coming down the driveways of probably 2 or 3 houses.
got it.
And that's what was causing the significant flow
Okay.
all the way down to Mr. Rosario's property,
So then theoretically, we could do the owner of the roadway,
yes,
which would be the developer still.
Right. right.
I mean, I think there's a lot of evidence leading that way. We could, so that's one option, that's like go for the gusto right away. We could do our, okay, first step and say, come to our next meeting, here are our concerns, here are some obvious issues. The commission, you know, you have a suspected violation of the Wetlands Protection Act. So come to our next meeting to discuss, failure to respond may result in an enforcement order. Not that it won't anyways, but this will probably need one to clean it up. Then that's
Of
a,
course he knows.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Rosario already has texts from,
He has years worth of text messages.
From-
yeah, but we gotta
includes-
document it, so
I know,
I would say, I mean, we can kind of start the enforcement without the official enforcement order and have it on our next agenda as violation and enforcement of Arrowhead Way. Invite the owner to the next meeting. But in the meantime, have Tamika send them probably an email and also probably a certified letter. Outlining, and I can help draft the concerns that we have in the meantime with the official language that we are putting you on notice that we have observed a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act. And even though it is outside of a jurisdictional area, it has impacted and therefore is now jurisdictional. So come to our next meeting and be prepared to discuss these points. You know, it'd be good for you to start thinking about what your solution will be.
That's right.
right,
And he's gonna say we put berms at the top of
and
the driveway.
Well, you
those,
gotta fix what's already
those,
yeah.
those 3 berms aren't gonna fix that.
Well, and you gotta fix what you've already,
Yeah,
Damaged.
which also means you have to get permission of other property owners, so we should probably send maybe I can draft another just courtesy notice to 137, 139, and 140, saying that the commission has sent a potential violation letter. We've observed, you know, sediment in wetland resource areas and is a probable violation, or is a violation. I think we can move that far. And we are working towards remedial action, which may require a independent entity of Arrowhead Way to enter your property. If, you know, which we would need your permission for.
I think if you guys agree, I'd also include 142, cause he's the gentleman that lives right next door to Mr.
Okay,
Rosario and shares that hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He had come to the planning
Okay.
board meeting as well, so maybe we can
Yeah,
include him as well.
Whoever
Sure.
I think you've heard from
Yes.
and whoever
Yep.
you think
We wanna
has
keep
been
everybody-
impacted, yeah.
Everybody up to date.
Absolutely, we can do
What
that.
about the people up top?
An
On-
Arrowhead?
On Arrowhead,
That's a good idea too.
right,
because there's clear
Yeah,
gullies that go through their yards.
Yeah.
and it's not, I mean, you looked at the picture of that backyard, that's not safe. There was a
no, it's not.
trampoline washed all the way down the bottom of the hill.
Yep. And it's a good, what, 30, 40 foot drop?
Easy 30 feet,
Easily.
Oh my God, did the,
And no fence.
there's no fence, so I,
I know that's not our purview, but like
Not working.
right,
morally, like,
the planning board sent their letter to,
I'm sorry.
that was a memo to the commission?
Thank you. Yeah.
No,
That wasn't
was
to
from
the,
Kevin.
was that to the actual owner?
No, that was from Kevin Quinn to the planning board, at the request of the planning board. So the planning board has not sent any formal communication
Oh,
to
so
the
that was
developer.
Quinn's letter
That was Kevin's
Yep.
letter to the planning
to
board.
planning, okay.
Yep, that he also shared with me because he knew the commission was also
Okay,
involved.
Okay.
Do we need a motion? Or no?
Yeah, let's do a motion.
Before we do that.
Yep.
I just wanted to mention a couple other things that came up during the site walk. And these are kind of bigger picture items related to subdivision reviews and approvals through various town boards and whatnot. When we were on Mr. Rosario's property looking at that slope, just talking about how it's really steep. It's basically a 1-to-1 slope with wood chips on it. It's really not appropriate. It needs to be some sort of engineered stabilized slope or retaining wall or something that is gonna hold up when there's runoff coming from 50 feet above that slope.
Yeah.
And this is not uncommon in other subdivisions in town too. I know over on Bryce Lemon, we were talking about that, and like over on Woodside, there's similar conditions there with wood chip slopes that are extremely steep. And looking up at Arrowhead, obviously we already mentioned the earth getting pushed, burying the trees, a lot of them are now dead. Now the homeowner's gonna be responsible for taking care of that. One of the things I brought up with the planning board members that were there is, you know, one thing that really should be part of the site plan review process and would be part of our NOI process when we have jurisdiction for subdivisions is requesting from the developer, we need to see not just a grading plan for the roadway, we need to see a grading plan for the whole development. We need to know how you're grading out each of these lots, where the limit of earthwork's gonna be, where the limit of clearing's proposed to be, and make sure that they're properly dealing with, like, those trees should not have been left there. They should have been removed.
They should have been cut.
And obviously they weren't, and now it's gonna be a problem for those homeowners, which is unfortunate. So,
On both sides of the hill.
on both sides. So, just looking to the future for any future developments in town. I think we, as a town, as boards, commissions, we just need to be
Right.
more aware of exactly what's going on, how they're gonna handle grading, tree clearing, stormwater management during construction, all that stuff.
And also ties into getting an updated stormwater bylaw and regs, which I know has kind of been in the works-ish. I don't know where that stands, but you know, whoever ends up being the final authority on that or reviewing, that's definitely comes into play. I think that'd be a nice little bit more consistency and oversight.
Would that involve, would the intention of that be that there would be a separate stormwater permit?
Or some sort of review.
Some sort of review,
Yeah.
yep.
So
We
whether
talked
it
about
be-
that on the site walk too. a
Yeah,
little
so
bit.
whether it be a permit by us, planning board, or review by DPW and some sort of
Yeah.
issuance.
Yeah, okay.
Or a separate committee, which others do.
Right.
Any other comments before we make a motion? That's brutal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was happy to see, and you mentioned it, that they had the Cape Cod berms instead of the vertical granite where the curbing up top.
On Arrowhead?
Yep,
Yep.
which allows for, you know, amphibian migration and whatever, you know, the vertical
Yeah, that's a block, that's a
the
roadblock.
granite slabs just don't
Yeah,
work.
yeah.
Okay. So is there a motion to send the letters as discussed to the developer and the residents in the area on Pommogussett and Arrowhead?
I'll make a motion.
And I'll second
All those in favor by roll call?
Williamson, I.
Yorkland eye.
Gentilucci, aye.
Farrington, aye.
Dan said aye. Alright, so Tamika, I will work on that tomorrow.
Okay.
Where'd my agenda go? Alright. Sheila, thank you for waiting.
What, just before Sheila, we had the grizzly trash.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
yep,
know, well, the pictures were up there, so I don't know if we wanted to do that as well.
just real quick, yeah.
So we had a resident report, construction debris and garbage and trash in the wetlands on Grizzly. George and I went a few weeks ago at this point. Noticed, erosion control barriers that were not working properly. They were falling, you know, collapsed and
Or missing.
or missing. So we had him put that one right there that you just went by. This was coming off of a brand new driveway.
And it's a joke.
Yeah. And this device was not there 3 weeks ago. So Tamika asked them to add one there.
And there's an even bigger plume of sediment
Yep.
going into the wetlands now than there was 3 weeks ago.
Did you happen to notice, is that silt fence trenched in?
It is, but not very far.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Like
doesn't
you
even
could
look
tell
like
where the water went underneath it.
Yeah.
No, that's not trenched in.
That's not,
Oh, it wasn't fully?
that doesn't look
That
like
big,
it.
that big thing, that big sag right there, that's about a 40-pound rock holding that thing down. And all the water's going right underneath it.
So, and then you can see that these are the control devices that, or the barriers that were supposedly repaired, but they're not. And then the next picture, there's that huge culvert pipe that's just laying in the wetlands.
There's also another 3-foot pipe about 40 feet down in them reeds down there that's just chilling in the water.
Oops, no, sorry. Okay.
And then there were pictures probably earlier on, of just the trash that's just chilling in there, yeah.
It doesn't even look like he's picked it up.
No, there was construction debris, you know, insulation and that sort of thing that he removed, but
He left the rest of it.
he left the household trash. You know, it's on both sides of the road. The other side of the road, the erosion control devices are even worse. Pretty much non-existent.
And that photo was as of this past Saturday?
Mhm.
Yep.
And even though it's not construction debris, I feel like it's, you know, I wanna get your opinions, you know, I feel like it's the developer's responsibility to pick up household trash, even if it's not their own, they have to maintain the cleanliness of the site.
While under construction.
Yeah.
While under construction. I mean, that and you would think that their barriers would stop some of that.
Well,
And I
those are
guess
balloons and,
the other,
Oh,
yeah, those, in the middle, those white things, those are balloons.
I thought I said bones, I said that's a whole other discussion.
and I guess the other question would be, you know, can we or can somebody approach the homeowner? Because that guy is definitely overstuffing his trash barrels, which is,
That's where it's coming from.
which is causing
Yeah.
the household trash to end up in there. He's certainly not, the homeowner across the way certainly isn't helping the problem. I mean, it's definitely not all the builder's fault.
This is Clee, right?
Yeah.
Cause he told me the same thing, I yell at him all the time for trashing.
Yeah.
Oh, that came out of the homeowners,
Because
that's the homeowner's responsibility to clean that up.
I don't believe it's the homeowner's responsibility once it gets in there, because he's supposed to have all the stuff up to stop it. But the homeowner should be responsible for their trash.
That's that's the detention basin though? Or is that just the?
No,
That's
this
just
is.
a, that's just a
wetland.
wetland on the
That's
side
a
of the
wetland.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if it's pretty clear, if you saw a clear neighbor that their trash was overfilling and kind of spilling over, we can send kind of a friendly, or even to like the neighborhood area, we can send a general letter of, you know, there's been an increase of trash in surrounding wetlands, like please,
Just tie your trash bags. and
please tie your
keep it
trash
tidy.
bags and yeah,
Yeah.
We can try, people don't listen, but
yeah.
we can ask.
I'd say maybe not single out one in this circumstance, maybe send it to,
That whole side of the road,
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like we should give them a deadline to fix their erosion control issues.
Yeah.
Cause I mean,
And there's more trash than just that, that was just
Yeah.
the most visible, easiest to photograph.
Tamika's asked them to do something about that the past 3 meetings, after the last 3 meetings. So
Give them a day to give them like,
until,
is that just what we want? If we want a deadline for the erosion controls to be replaced?
you know, and the trash to be cleaned up. It should be done by like tomorrow, cause we
Yeah,
told them
there's another
we told
storm
them-
coming on Thursday, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've told them 3 or 4 times now. Like, come on, dude.
We should give them a deadline. Or, and then if that doesn't work, one enforcement order.
I would say erosion controls by tomorrow at 5.
Yep.
And trash can be a week for trash, that'll be nice.
Sure.
They're gonna need a long,
I would say COB Friday, but that was,
That's what I was leaning towards too, but.
Okay, well, we could do Friday, that's fine.
Alright.
I mean, they've had plenty of opportunities.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they have, that's true.
And the
In the whole development, just.
the job, the job site where that
Every twist
erosion
tie.
control is coming down from the
Yep.
driveway, that whole job site, it looks like a dump. Like, there's trash everywhere. It's the dirtiest construction site I've ever seen. It's filthy dirty.
They need to clean it all up.
And keep up with it.
Wrappers, cans, you name it.
Are you good with reaching out to Tom with that
You sure, Ray?
deadline? Okay, just wanna make sure you have enough time.
I can do that.
Thank you.
We're giving you a lot to do.
It's all right.
We're
I
giving
got
her a
my
lot
list.
to do this week.
I got my list, don't worry.
She keeps me honest. Alright, are we good on that one?
Yes.
Okay. Now
Sorry,
Sheila.
Sheila.
Thank you for
We need a
coming
motion for
again.
that?
No,
Okay.
we're good.
Where do you
We
want
did
it?
Arrowhead,
Can I-
right?
Want me to just go
Yeah.
where,
Wherever you so desire, yeah.
I wanna not get the library dirty.
We're gonna have knotweed in the library now.
Free plant day was last week, you know.
I think we all know this is not the plan.
Yeah, we don't want this plant.
Thank you for having me. I think I'm preaching to the converted here, but I guess for anybody who actually watches this, we'll go real quick through this. And you all have so many big things that are on your plate. And what's interesting is I think a lot of people who don't necessarily recognize what's going on see this and are just like, oh my God, it's just another plant. What's the big deal? But I'm gonna try to argue tonight that this actually is a big deal. It's going to end up costing the town as much money, if not more, as some of the sort of really terrible things we've seen tonight, if we don't start taking care of it. So what I will start with is currently there are not that many towns in the state of Massachusetts with invasive management plans. Right now there's 9 that have robust invasive management plans. A couple of those were put together with grant money. One of them is Sterling, one of them is Westford. They're both well worth looking at. I'm gonna send in to you guys kind of a 3-page document with links so you can take a look at all of them. I'm a big believer in not reinventing the wheel, so if we had something that you all were happy with relative to an invasive management plan, even if it's just, you know, bare bones at the outset, we've got some opportunities for that. I will say Swampscott, which is very far ahead of the game relative to knotweed in particular, is probably not the best example because Swampscott has in place a lot of town-wide restrictions on the use of herbicides. And so they actually have on their website a form that people have to fill out in order to apply to treat their knotweed. Not our situation here, just want to highlight that for you when you look at it. I'm going to talk about sort of Rutland versus the state versus the rest of the world. So here in Rutland, unfortunately, we're actively spreading it. And I mean as a town. And I think you all know this. We're actively spreading it, not just via mowing. And by the way, the state is doing that as well on both 122A, 56. We're seeing it dramatically. But we're also taking it in as brush. And then possibly the worst case scenario is that now that we have infected brush, we are using materials that are down in our DPW yard and we're using them in other parts of town and making the problem worse. And by the way, if you want me to come back, I can bring pictures too, which would be amazing. I'll give you some examples. The worst example probably is Barrack Hill. So the town went in with some millings. The millings had been kept near knotweed. I think we all know from a municipal perspective that our DPW yard, our own municipal property, is one of the worst offenders right now. They took those millings, they brought it down to Barrack Hill. That knotweed that was in those millings, and again, you know, we're talking about ground up road material, broke through the road material, is now traveling down Barrack Hill at breakneck speed, and it's about to start to infect the DCR properties and the rail trail intersection. And I'm watching that happen just actively every year. It's gotten so bad, again, as you all know, on the DPW property that it has spread. It has spread to Marshfield, we know that well. It is spreading to the church properties. In a different situation, and possibly now because legislation is probably in the offing and there is one lawsuit currently on the books. It was a very egregious situation. However, it's on the books and it was in favor of the homeowner relative to knotweed. I'm gonna put on record that it is possible that property owners, such as the churches, could find the town of Rutland liable, and a judge might agree with them because we have not treated this problem. This is where people are like, it's just a plant. In the UK, almost every square mile of the country is affected, of the island, of the full island of Great Britain. They've done an actual investigation and they have found it everywhere. What that has meant is that the UK is far ahead of the United States, as it often is, in management of this plant. So in the UK right now, it is not illegal to have it on your property, because how could they do that? Almost everybody has it. But it is illegal to obviously propagate it and to allow it to spread past your property. And most importantly, it is required that you disclose the presence of it during a home sale. I note that because I'm gonna circle back to why, in terms of municipal concerns, I do think this is going to be a property valuation issue very soon, if not already. People who know what they're doing, who see a property that has knotweed across it, know that similar to, not maybe in terms of dollars, but similar to a failed septic, that this is going to be a long, arduous process and very expensive process for them to deal with. All right, so from municipal concerns, I think it can absolutely reduce property values. I think we are starting to see that absolutely. But not only that, it can crack foundations. There is proof that it has cracked through about 2 inches of direct straight concrete. It can break sidewalks. Mature stands of it block our sidewalks, they block our bike lanes, they block our sight lines for drivers, they create a huge hazard. I think it is possible, knowing all of this, that it is likely that we are going to see probably an unfunded mandate from the state coming down at some point soon, relative to municipalities being required to deal with their knotweed problem. Now, there's irony in that, because much of our knotweed is on state property and state roadways, but let's set that aside. I think that there might be some grant money available, but what this means is the longer we wait to deal with this, the faster it's spreading. And we really have hit critical mass. Now, this is a plant that, I mean, we know it's called Japanese knotweed. It's native to Japan and Korea. It was brought here as an ornamental in the 1870s. So it's been around a long time, but we have absolutely hit that tipping point where it is now everywhere. The minute you realize what it is and you start to see it, here's my little example. It grows incredibly fast. It can grow in prime season up to 6 to 8 inches a day. And you realize that it really has become everywhere, and it is displacing every single native species. It actually speeds erosion. You'd think it wouldn't. I heard, obviously you've had lots of talk tonight about erosion, and you'd think this is a plant that grows very quickly. It sends out roots 40 feet in every direction, including down. You'd think it would be something that would stabilize a situation, and it's actually not. It actually causes the opposite. So when we see it growing along riverbanks in particular, and out in Boston, they are actually treating it through a conservancy. It's actually, when there is flooding, what little soil is left is rushing away. The little corms that are attached to these that help it spread are going down with it and creating new colonies farther down the riverbed. So it is not anything that we want to see used. And you know what's funny? I mean, we get back to homeowners. Some homeowners, because of its rapid growth, have appreciated it, right? Because it creates this quick privacy barrier for the summer. And they think they have it under control because they're mowing it down each year, when in point of fact, they're making their problem worse and they just don't quite realize it yet. The minute they stopped mowing, it's just gonna get out of control. And in fact, it already is. They just haven't quite seen it visibly yet. All right, there are contraindicated treatments for this. And I will start this by saying there's a lot of people that have been trying to fight this, me included, for many years. And perfection is the enemy of the good. So when we say to people, yeah, this isn't helping, as long as you're not actively spreading it, go ahead and try the things, right? So when we talk about people who are just breaking it off, have at it. There are corms directly under the ground. This piece that I pulled out doesn't have a ton, but I'll show you one. When you break off one of these, it's just sort of activating the corms to get stronger, and they'll start just sending up shoots. And again, it grows really fast during its growing season, so you haven't done anything to really limit the plant. You slowed it down a little, but it's kind of laughing at you. A lot of people try tarping. Big, heavy, 6 mil, covered in mulch, like you name it. The only thing the plant will do at that point is send its roots out, looking for an opening, looking for sunlight, and the root system that is under that tarp, no matter how big that tarp is, remains viable. We actually have proof. We have somebody who's been doing treatment from a pool, one of those big, heavy, above ground pools, the big ones. They removed it. The knotweed had been growing around it. And the knotweed roots that were underneath that filled pool were still alive, and they responded immediately and started growing when that pool was removed. That was after 4 years or 10 years, the pool being there, I don't remember the time. Excavation. Excavation was tried at Marshfield. I'm guessing that this group knows about it. And I think the people involved were 100% convinced that their big giant machines could handle the problem, and so they excavated. You can see what that has gotten us. Absolutely nothing. So at Marshfield, it is breaking through the bleachers. It is affecting the field itself. Where they did it, that big slope coming down off the DPW yard, it's starting to creep in where all of that mulch is. The only way that a few places have tried it, Hawaii has tried it, Ireland has tried it, to do an excavation is 40 feet, again, minimum 40 feet, in every direction, including down. So a major excavation work, but then what do you do with it? They actually end up having to put the plant material into a sealed pit. So we're talking sealed with like the stuff you use to put a rubber roof on a building. Sealed pit. This is out of the realm of possibilities for most communities. It's not viable or possible in most locations. And so it's really, I am a rapidly organic gardener in all other facets of my life. This plant, if we want to eradicate it, it's too far gone for us to think we can do it mechanically, in my opinion. The recommended treatment, and there are studies on this, I'm gonna send you all of the materials on that. There's multiple studies, a lot of them are coming out of the UK, is a 2% glyphosate solution applied in the fall in something that we call the window. That is the time in between it being completely flowering done and the first hard frost. And there's reasons for this. We used to call this plant bamboo. It is actually not in the bamboo family. It is closed cell. So that means that we've got people who are trying to like cut it and inject it. That doesn't work. The plant is a foliar feeder, so spraying the leaves in the right window means that as it is retracting and starting to go dormant for the winter season, it's actually going to carry all that herbicide right down to its root system for us. That's what we want. That's what we need. We need to kill the root system. This visible stuff doesn't matter. We say glyphosate, which obviously some people immediately have a, oh my God. Misuse of glyphosate is a serious issue. We are talking about a 2% solution here. It is still very much legal in Massachusetts. In fact, the Agriculture Department has advocated strongly in favor of it for use in farming applications because of the way it works and what it does. I will say there are plenty of products out there. Roundup, which we know is sort of the poster child for what not to do with glyphosate, has removed glyphosate from its over-the-counter home-directed products in many cases and replaced it with something else. Those products will kill the foliage but won't go down to the root system. We need glyphosate, and I'm not a chemist. I couldn't sit here and explain to you tonight, nor do you want me to, why glyphosate works the way it works, but what we need is that. And so when we talk about this 2% solution, it's glyphosate and it's 2% and it's only glyphosate because we need the leaves to stay alive long enough, for them to carry that poison down to the roots. It has a very short half-life. There is a product that's specially formulated near wetlands, but of course, if you were near a wetland, you'd still be going to the state for a special permit. In municipal applications, I know you're nodding at me completely, we can't just start spraying it anywhere we want, much as we might like to. We're gonna need somebody who either has an herbicide pesticide license in place on staff or hiring contractors that do. Okay. I have some suggested items for you that you can discuss once I'm gone. I think the first would be if we could start with super low hanging fruit, posting comprehensive information on the town website, on your pages, about what this plant is, what it is capable of, and what the recommended treatment is, assuming you are on board with the recommended treatment. And again, I can throw lots of pages at you that I didn't craft. The second thing would be to advocate heavily to the DPW to work harder at best practices for minimizing municipal spread. That really is our worst case scenario right now. We are adversely affecting homeowners by spreading it. We are adversely affecting ourselves. We are seeing it, I'll give you another example that's not in Rutland, brand new sidewalks going up into Gardner on Route 68. Huge knotweed stand there, the sidewalks are breaking. That was an expensive, big, municipal, complete streets project. And it is being affected enough that it is going to cost a lot of money to repair if it's not treated appropriately. Okay. After advocating the DPW, which again, you know, immediate, helpful, it's not really gonna cost any more money for them to do it. Maybe we talk to them about being a little bit more careful when they start mowing, because we know there are places that have to mow, again, in order for those sight lines, and you can't get around that this summer. The next thing would be to advocate for and assist with a plan to try a test location spray this fall. I think that would be the ideal situation to get the rest of the community on board, right? To have the planning board see that it's an issue when it comes to site plans, and to have DPW see that it is an issue when it comes to their property management, and to have our homeowners see it, to have the select board see it. I can't say here now tonight whether or not DPW has or will have money in its budget. Perhaps it is something that we would go after as a special town meeting article to fund it just a little. Now again, 2% glyphosate, little goes a long way. So we're talking about the cost of the time, the cost of the herbicide, the cost of the license, or the cost of contractor to do it. Obviously, low-hanging fruit seems to me the straightforward place would be to start in the DPW yard itself, which has sort of been the source of all the
Ground zero.
ground zero. I'm not seeing personally a downside to trying it and to seeing what happens, particularly when there is so much of it. We would have plenty of situations where you could see a control. Somebody could try tarping it if they want to say, no, I think tarping's gonna work. Have at it. Try tarping it over here, try spraying it over here, try cutting it over here, and let's see what wins. And we can go from there. The next step, again, getting bigger into the picture, would be to catalog town-owned streets affected by the plan. That would be the next step into us figuring out exactly how big the problem is relative to at least the town of Rutland. Again, homeowners have their own issues with it, and they're gonna have to deal with that on their own. There are no laws, even in the UK, about having it on your property. You're not required to do anything if you don't want to. The final thing would be adopting, like we're seeing in some of these other communities, a townwide invasive species management plan. That includes a multi-year treatment plan that kind of treats the plant from the center of town out. That was just my choice. Maybe somebody else would say start on the edges and work their way in, whatever. But also comes with most likely a 3 to 5 year maintenance look back. So a comprehensive invasive management plan for this plant requires us to sort of never turn our backs completely on where we think we've eradicated it. 3 to 5 years is typical. That's assuming a full treatment is done, and that it was done right. I think this is a project that's worth it. I think it's worth starting from somewhere. It's not $0 at the end of the day, but I think the faster we get this done, the more money we will save.
Absolutely.
And you can ask me questions, but I forgot one thing, and I'll show, you can ask me questions and I'll find it. I just wanna show people, okay. So this, some people call this a corm. And this is a very small one. It kind of looks like white asparagus. A piece of this, not so much the leaves, but a piece of this, 1/2 inch long, thrown from a mower, thrown onto the ground, me walking out just now, because I just threw it on the floor, can actually cause a new colony. That's how strong this plant is. It's really something, it's really something. I hate it, so.
I agree.
Okay, thank you for having me. Thank you for your time.
Can I add something?
Sure.
So the 2%
Yep,
glyphosate
yep,
also eradicates Oriental bittersweet. It's the same process. It's a different time. It's a different
yeah,
it's a different window.
Yep.
With the bittersweet, it's the spring, because that's when it starts to take in all the stuff.
yeah.
And with that, it's the fall. I am fully on board for doing it for both, because I think the bittersweet's just as out of control as that. And I also think that having a test site right out back here is perfect. We're doing a a thing.
George,
I was like, where are you going?
That's what he meant.
Yeah.
That way, yeah.
I knew what he meant.
I got a brain injury, cut me some slack. We're doing a thing for
Excuses.
A wheelchair repair bill at the State House right now, where it's been going on for a while. So to really drive the point home, within the next month, we're bringing a bunch of wheelchairs to the State House. And we're going to invite senators and representatives, try and get from point A to point B in the State House in a wheelchair and time them. And it's gonna be freaking impossible for them.
Okay.
So to have that same kind of example out there for the town to see
Yeah.
would be perfect. And I also think that putting something up on the webpage about not just that, but invasive species in general would be
and social media.
an excellent idea.
For sure. And I mean, these communities that have full invasive management plans include bittersweet, they include
Right.
garlic mustard, they include all the things that,
Tree of
you know,
heaven.
yeah.
And I think
Double.
this is a long shot, but just based off of what folks said about the post about Free Plant Day that we put up on the website, everybody liked that, so I don't see why people would be opposed to getting rid of invasives if they want free natives. What the hell's the point? It's kind of counterintuitive, don't you think?
I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to start somewhere with this plant. I will say, and I put some thought into this about including it, and I hope you might all think about it. I do think that this sort of ground zero problem started because people were bringing it in as brush. I would hate to dissuade people from continuing to do that because they are very likely to dump it. And we're already seeing that in the developments. There's no way that knotweed got in there other than through somebody's clippings or whatever, that they're sort of driving into an open woods situation. I think we're seeing it in Central Tree, we're seeing it in some of the others. So I'm not sure what the answer is. Well, actually, I am sure what the answer is. The answer is to treat it on your property and to treat it where it is. But until not you, but them as a homeowner are at that point, maybe there's a place where it could be segregated in the yard at the very least. I mean, obviously
Does it have the same
No.
So burn, like if
So
you,
remember, this plant evolved to survive lava fields. So picture an active volcano. The plant burns here because of the active volcano happening, the lava. And then the lava field dries and you've got however much, right?
right, because it's 40 feet down, it
Yep.
can
The roots are
withstand
still
the whole
It
lot.
eventually comes back, it breaks through that lava field, which looks very much like blacktop. And it's breaking through blacktop back here as well right now, so,
Makes sense.
yeah.
So I'm sorry, can you go back, they do a foliar spray in the fall
Yep.
after it flowers? And
After-
then
yeah.
they just leave it there
Yes, so.
for a season?
Right, so basically, there's a very large social media presence of people all trying to battle this plant across kind of the nation, or actually the world.
It's the
Right,
world,
yeah, it's the
yeah.
world. And we all sort of try to support everyone who's doing their best to kind of take on their own little patch of it. And everyone gets, understandably, very sort of anxious as you see how big this plant is getting this fast from basically now through early August. At that point, it'll stop gaining height, but the biggest stands, the height will be 12 to 16 feet easily. And you'll see the flowers start to form. The bees don't have a lot of options anymore. They absolutely are using knotweed as a source, which is why we want to wait until after it's done flowering to protect the pollinators as much as we can. So that's going to be over. We obviously can't tell people exactly when the window is going to be. You sort of never know. You always want to watch for when you start seeing the newscasters calling for that first frost. And you want to get it done on a nice, dry, nice, dry, windless day,
In
a
Yeah.
few days before the first frost. And that means you would fully foliar spray it. Some people add a surfactant to kind of make sure it's really adhering. Some people
Like
add
soap,
Yep.
dish soap.
Dish soap. Some people add a colorant, so actually Dawn dish soap could work. You'll see a little bit of blue. It's not going to hurt anything else.
Yeah.
You'll see what you've sprayed. There are some people that advocate for a June cut on the biggest stands because the biggest stands get to such a height that they're actually a little bit dangerous to spray for someone that's not fully in
Can't reach the
full
top.
protective gear. Exactly. So you'll hear some people say, listen, you know, again, perfection is the enemy of the good. You got a giant stand, cut it in June, cut it down. All you're doing is getting the biggest stuff cut halfway, leave it in place. New stuff will grow up in its place, but it won't reach the height of the originals, and you'll be able to spray it a little bit easier. I mean, you know, you can do that if you want.
So we found a small patch at the backside of 139 Pommogussett when we were down at the edge of the wetland this weekend. And I bet you it was contaminated fill from when they built those houses.
Yeah. Yep.
There's a
Certainly.
huge patch on Prescott too that's out into the road.
Yeah.
And that's one that the town has to cut every year and it's just spreading and it goes
It's
crazy.
just spreading it. Yeah. Yeah.
That 2%'s readily available now?
No, there is no over-the-counter 2% spray available anywhere
You need a
that we
license.
know of in the United States. I will say, if I told you to go buy 2% spray, you're basically buying water with like a little, right? We have, on some of the social media pages, we actually, and we can provide it to you guys, we have the formulas for, okay, if you bought what we traditionally see as a 41%, so 41% pure glyphosate, and here's how you do the math to get that into your 1 gallon sprayer or your 2 gallon sprayer, and we
Okay.
can provide that to people.
So if we had a licensed applicator, which we probably do with DPW, right?
Probably not.
Probably not,
I don't
no.
Probably
I
not.
don't think we do.
Doubt it.
Most towns don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you get a license? Yes. Does it cost money? Also, yes.
Wish
It's gonna be about $100 for the license.
our DPW should go through the training and we should get somebody an
Right.
applicator licensed.
Again, or you get a licensed contractor to do it. Yeah.
That's gonna be more.
But our DPW is already short-staffed as it is, right?
Yeah, we're,
So that's, they're gonna be on their last thing to do before other obligations, but
Which is why funding it, you know, with a special article, if there's free cash, if there's money,
Yeah.
you know, you can wait. I mean, it's the end of the fiscal year now. I'm assuming you know, they're not gonna be able to make anything happen, nor would they want to spray now. And so
yeah,
that's sort of, you know, you guys know, the traditional budget
Yeah.
season doesn't really help us when we're looking at this project. We either article money for it or build it in for the next year. Thank you so much.
What's the UK doing to treat, sounds like it's a pretty big problem over there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Are they using glyphosate over there to treat it or?
Everyone that we are following is recommending now this 2% glyphosate, mainly because they've tried so many other things. It was really something to read about, I think it might have been in Hawaii, where they actually tried the pit method. And to a point it worked, because they had the ability to dig a giant pit and line it with it, right? But they're still now looking and going back to these sites, and you find like little stragglers and yeah. The only thing I'll say is, you know, if you get, you know, some homeowner has mulch that they bring in and it's contaminated mulch and you have a little sprig this big, don't wait until October and let it get strong for 4 months for nothing. You know, that I feel like, pull it out, give it a shot. If it comes back, well, you know, you had a bigger problem, but I mean.
yeah.
I love this project because I feel like everybody in the community can kind of get some of this done. This is 100% a community project that if we all kind of do it together at multiple levels at our own pace, we will get there and we'll see results, and it's very achievable and attainable, and it's well worth it financially. It is, honest to God, not just this tree hugging, you know,
Yeah.
this is a bad plant situation. This really does have significant financial implications if we let it go.
Especially if it gets near one of the crumbling foundations.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking, I'm not
Yeah,
even
right?
joking.
Right,
I'm not even
because
Alright.
joking.
they are
Make a-
probably more
make a big
susceptible
problem
than
even
a,
bigger.
yeah, I'm
Yep.
sure you're right, for sure.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm full support of absolutely everything you said tonight,
Yep,
so.
I am too.
100%.
Thank you. I guess I'll send you everything I have.
Yeah.
You guys let me know what else you need.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
yeah,
Fine.
feel free to drive around and look at knotweed like I do.
So what are you gonna do with that?
I was gonna ask the same question.
It's a good question. So when people remove knotweed, and again, my real life, I compost everything, blah, 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 not this stuff. I
Yeah.
garbage bag it, I tie it, and it goes in the regular trash, hopefully for incineration. Cause what else are you gonna do?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, whenever I have little sprigs in my yard, I just burn it. So,
Burn it, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a fire pit in the backyard, I just throw all the invasives right in and
Doesn't that, yeah.
it feels so good. And I always film it, I always record it burning. Oh, every time.
Yep. So if Marshfield goes on fire, we know who did it. It's Brian getting payback.
Watching them dig down in Marshfield, I was like, oh, come on. Just,
My undergrad our senior project was all about invasive inventory on Wachusett Mountain, so I'm passionate about invasives,
Yeah.
so.
So, it's funny you say that, because the knotweed is very rapidly moving up Mountain Road, and
Right.
it's gonna hit the mountain
It wasn't
soon.
there
It
22
wasn't even there
years
10 years ago.
No.
Yeah, and I can't believe that the state's not. Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Sheila.
Thank you. Sheila.
I'm
Yeah.
here with my plan.
So yeah, send us whatever you want and or have and.
You need help?
No, I don't. Need help with your giant invasive plant?
Yeah, don't drop any invasives anywhere.
Your ass starts growing in the rug.
It will.
It would, right? Goes through lava, shoes.
Alright, oh my god. So one thing I was thinking about while she was talking too is that on iNaturalist, a lot of people use that to flag where invasives are.
Oh.
So I could create a like invasives in Rutland, like what's it called? Not group, but whatever it is where people
Project or
can join,
something.
yeah, project.
Map it out.
Yeah.
It's like interactive and
Yeah,
they
so
can,
when people are out and
Community
about,
centers,
yeah, you can just be like, oh, look, there's a stand of knotweed and you know, click take a picture or whatever and report where it is. Cause that can go, you know, we can start with the roadways, cause people are all over.
Yep.
So people can do it on their properties, on other properties, roads, open space. So I'll work on that. That's an easy enough one, and then once we can start promoting that of like, help us track where invasives are, cause it doesn't have to be just knotweed, it can
Right,
be anything.
True.
Right.
So,
Like you said, the bittersweet, that's
Yeah.
that's brutal.
That's every,
That's
yeah.
cause I think we can launch that when
Fireweed,
like
it's all everywhere.
maybe you and I can start working, or anyone can
Native plant guy to the rescue.
start working on like a page on our page, like a
Yes.
section, whatever, of
like a sub-page.
invasive species, and like, you know, even if it's just linking to the Mass Audubon sites or whatever, being like, here's what you're looking for, help us map and find, and, you know, go to this blah blah
Can
blah.
link it to the, the hell is it called? I sent you guys the email over the weekend at like 3 in the morning.
I got that.
Oh, yeah,
The Growing Wild one with Doug Talon
Right.
or whatever.
Yep.
yep, and even like Go Botany
Yes.
for plant ID and all that fun stuff, so we'll work on that between this and next meeting. Maybe we can have like a draft of, we'll try and have a draft of the page that we could share if that works. Just
We can also mention, you know, that some invasive insect species prefer these invasive, you
yeah,
know, tree of heavens.
yep,
Um,
lanternfly.
I don't know of any tree of heaven stands here, but I know Leah has found them over at Berry Falls.
Mm.
And those are gonna be a big problem if they come here. So,
Yep.
Can we put the Bradbury pear trees on that list too?
Bradford,
Bradbury.
everybody has in their front yards.
Yes, because
And
it's
right there
gonna,
in the library.
Yeah,
Yeah.
has it moved through legislation yet? It's
I
slated
think so.
for,
I thought so.
did it get approved?
maybe not.
I don't remember. So yeah.
Burning bush,
Burning,
I
burning.
had all those in my yard growing up.
yep,
The
everybody
burning
did.
bush, the tree.
Japanese barberry, honeysuckles,
Yeah.
autumn olive, every
Yeah,
highway in the
honeysuckle.
country has
I
autumn
hate
olive.
autumn olive.
Supposedly tastes real good. I've never eaten the
I'm
olive,
not
so
gonna try.
they make jelly out of it.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. I hate knotweed, so love that. Anything else on that topic before we move on?
We do mention invasives in the open space plan.
Yes,
So-
I was thinking that too, yeah.
Yep, so it's a good tie into
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Next was the follow-up erosion concerns on Route 56 at Moulton Pond Dam. It sounds like DOT is working with, was it the original engineer to create a new
Yep,
plan for
CHA.
Better controls,
Yeah.
I
The
guess,
final version.
the final version. I have to admit, I wasn't impressed with Tracy's response once of like, well, we think the contractor has done a great job following the plan. I was like, yes, he has followed the plan, but the plan is not good enough. I don't think they quite got that. So, I guess they're gonna come to the next meeting or whenever they have a plan.
Yeah, so they said when they have a plan, we'll ask them to come to the meeting to talk, to speak to it and have a discussion. It didn't seem to make sense to have them come if they didn't have anything to work with, so.
Alright, has anyone seen anything glaring in the meantime? Have you heard from any of the residents near there for that?
No, nope, I haven't heard from anybody.
We'll take a drive-by if you can on Thursday too, with the big storm. Okay. Next was the land court hearings. We won't go into specifics. Sounds like other boards have decided they are not feasible for town. I took a quick look. It seemed like they were residential. Seemed to agree.
They are correct.
Does anyone have any opposing thoughts to that? I think
No, I looked at all three and from an open space standpoint,
there was nothing.
they're not adjacent
Yeah.
to protected open space or larger trailer systems, or they're not protecting like a watershed, so.
Well, there's one on the edge of the reservoir, isn't there?
Yeah, but that's,
Central Tree?
Nope, don't say.
but it's a
no.
residential
Right,
property.
Right.
I think there's watershed, maybe it's
So-
DCR.
Yeah.
I don't want that one. I don't want that one.
Don't say it.
Okay, so we'll just
I don't see anything
move on.
from
Is it okay if I send a memo to the select board just saying that you reviewed the properties and you didn't see value for an open space perspective?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
We don't want that.
Nope.
It's like, no.
I know the one you're talking about.
I think, was it in your email, Tamika, that even if the town were interested in one or all of these properties, it still would require covering the difference between the value
Yep.
and what's owed and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so it's not as simple
It
as
wouldn't be
sounds.
necessarily a win-win
Yeah,
per se,
yeah.
yeah.
No.
No.
No. Okay, the last thing on the agenda was wetland regulations, begin drafting regulations and discuss revolving fund. So I know Tamika very nicely sent an email to, what are they called, bylaw committee, to amend our revolving fund bylaw, is that what it's called? So that we could create a revolving fund so that we could collect fees. Do you know the outcome of that? I think I saw her poke her head in, but,
She did.
Yes.
and she was on, but now I think she's off.
She said they're very amenable to that.
Okay.
There really isn't much work to do, cause it kinda just is what it is.
Okay,
I don't.
it's just adding our name in, right?
Basically, yeah,
Okay.
so I don't know if you feel the need to have a public hearing, it's not required to do that, or a public information session. I would just
No.
say at this point, if the bylaw committee is okay with it, we would basically just draft an article to submit to the
Yeah.
select board for fall town meeting.
Like if there are questions, I think closer to town meeting, we can put a blurb on the website, but I
Yes,
think
yep.
otherwise, there's no need.
I mean, there's a table in the bylaw,
Yeah.
we're just adding.
Adding
the
our
table,
name.
right,
Adding
that's
them
pretty
on.
much it, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, it seems pretty.
And it's all governed by Mass General laws,
Yeah.
how you do it, so there really isn't a lot of flexibility there.
Thank you
Okay.
for looking into that and getting that
problem.
started, I appreciate that. I failed at starting regs, I had some family issues come up. Has anyone else had any thoughts on it to date? I hear Jared might.
I have lots of thoughts.
We had a lot of.
We don't need to get into it tonight, but I'll just
Okay.
mention, that actually I think this came up during our sidewalk Saturday, maybe. One of the things that I'd like to see in there is when we get notice of intents site plans that we have in our regulations, that they are stamped by a professional civil engineer.
Love
That's-
that.
And existing conditions plans and as-built are stamped by a professional land surveyor.
Okay.
I think we can, some of those are the types of things I'm thinking of.
Okay.
To just,
Land surveyor can stamp or a PE can stamp though.
which one?
Either one can stamp a development plan is what my regs, one of those, it has to be one of those
If
two.
there's proposed work, a surveyor cannot stamp that.
Proposed work, no surveyor,
No. If it's a existing conditions plan,
Yes.
or if it's an as-built plan, which is essentially an existing conditions plan after the work is done, professional land surveyor, it really should be a PLS stamping that, cause they should be the one preparing it.
wait, proposed work?
Proposed work should be a
PE.
professional engineer, a PE, and I would,
Proposed work's PE, but other than that, it's a land surveyor.
yes. And I think it should
That's
be, I think it should be a civil PE.
Civil.
Yeah,
Yeah, cause that's what we keep running into, is issues
Yeah.
and, not issues, but concerns.
but yeah, and yeah, we've kinda let it slide, which is fine. It's up to the PE of record. If they
To
are
demonstrate.
comfortable with what they're stamping, that's allowed by the state regulations.
Yep.
But we can modify that through our own regulations.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's in our reg too. We were gonna put some examples
Yeah, so
of
that's,
regs in.
I have
I think Holden should probably already be on there.
been woefully neglecting Concom the last couple weeks for some family stuff, so I think I'm gonna spend some time tomorrow doing Rutland work before I go back to real work in a couple weeks.
Oh.
So sad. So I'll start working on pulling some regulations from, especially the ones that we were looking at, the bylaws that we liked. And if anyone has any others, they see that they see whether it's something specific or the entirety of it, you know, send it to Tamika or me and we can upload it to the SharePoint. So I'll start plugging those in.
I'll throw one other thing out there
Yes,
that we have
please.
talked about before that could go in the regs would be call it a no structure zone,
Yeah,
which basically means no impervious surface. Driveway, house, roof,
I like it.
what that distance is from the wetland would be, if we were to do that, we'd figure out what seems reasonable, but I know other municipalities have similar requirement in their regs.
Tamika, can you just make sure that the very final version of the bylaw is in our SharePoint? I just wanna make sure, I know you have the cause I don't think I saved the one, cause Jared made a few last minute comments after town council had something,
You got
cause
it.
I was out.
Yep.
So can you just make sure it's in there?
I sure can,
Thank you,
no problem.
just wanna make sure I'm.
Yeah, we can't like create like new
Yeah,
like laws, so
I just wanna
like,
make sure I'm
the
referencing the right
reg has to
things.
support our
Yeah.
bylaw,
That's
like
fair,
Yep,
we can do that.
if we can add a no structure setback.
Yeah.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start I don't know if I'll start doing sections like I did kind of with the bylaw, or maybe just a running list of things that, you know, we have liked and wanna think about. Cause, you know, the AG still has to approve the bylaw and then we'll hold a hearing and yes, we wanna be ready, but if we need an extra month, 2 months to make sure that they're what we want. I mean, they're a lot easier to change, obviously, it just needs any meeting of us, but I'd rather have a good solid basis, especially when, you know, we're sending it out to all the engineers and saying, hey, look, this is what you need to comply for, and if we're changing it 6 times in the first 6 months, that's really confusing, so. Okay. Am I missing any last minute stuff?
MAC dues,
Oh, thank you.
you're welcome.
So the MACC dues came in, they are $475. They're due after July 1st, so are we comfortable authorizing Tamika to pay them out of our WPA fees since we have no money elsewhere.
Not okay with, no. Yeah.
Yeah, and since it's WPA, you don't even have to wait for July 1, you can just send them in whenever, right?
I think the accounts
You
purpose,
should,
she's
yeah,
gonna want me to
no,
wait
I
till
lied,
July
yep.
1, but
Yeah, we had to wait too. But it's based on the population, did you know that?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I thought it was on the number of members or something.
Based on the town's population?
Yep,
oh,
So
I
it's
thought
gonna
it was
go
based
up.
on members too, I didn't realize that.
It's gonna go up quite a bit in the next few years.
And you still have to pay for like an agent or somebody, like I'm not included, I have to pay an extra $65.
Yeah,
don't pay for you, cause you're included with us. So I don't pay, I don't pay an extra
Oh.
subscription in Southborough, cause I'm covered under here.
you just saved
They'll-
$65.
Yeah,
There you
they'll
go.
merge. I asked them to merge my account.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Glenda's wheels are turning.
sometimes I forget
Retirement.
which membership email it's under, but yeah.
But wait a minute,
So they'll list you as both. So as long as you stay on the commission, you can have a membership, but still go to classes as the agent of Holden. Without having, I mean, or you can make Holden pay for another one, doesn't matter.
I'll make Holden pay.
She's not worried about them.
Yeah, okay.
No, she's not paying it for a while, so I'll tell her.
Was there anything else?
Do we need a motion or is it okay to just have it in the minutes?
Oh, yes, no, we'll do a motion.
Okay.
Motion to allow Tamika to pay out of the WPI.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor by roll call?
Williamson, I.
York and I.
Jim Salucci, aye.
Barrington, aye.
And Dan's an aye. George has also sent that email about the native seeds. Do you wanna talk about that?
Your program?
Oh, or just that, what you wanna do? That you wanna do it?
Oh, yeah. So
I'm dying, so.
I screwed around with just what Melissa does in Southborough. I grabbed a bunch of seeds, I threw them in a milk jug and put them on my deck over the winter. And I ended up, to cold stratify the seeds, I ended up with 16 lupine plants and 16 cardinal flower plants by doing nothing. And I spent all day Father's Day putting them all in the ground. To do something like that, as like an educational thing, would be one, a lot of fun. It would get the kids interested and, you know, they'd get to play in the mud and get dirty and stuff, or potting soil anyway. And it would also, I mean, I know in Southborough, I don't know where they go and collect it, but
Our
they go out,
research gardens.
they go out and collect the seeds. It would be cool to, I mean, I got enough in my garden where I could bring in a boat ton of seeds, but we could also maybe pick a few spots around town.
Start making
Yeah.
demonstration gardens,
Yeah,
Where there used to be knotweed.
where there used to be knotweed.
Yeah, just as long as that potting soil is not contaminated with knotweed.
Right.
Yeah. Throw it in the oven, bake it for a little bit.
Put it in Brian's fire pit.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
just showing folks that, you know,
It's
native
possible.
plants, yeah. I mean,
and they're pretty.
right, my yard is probably 85% native plants right now. And it's beautiful, I think so. The neighbors might hate it, ask him.
No, we like it.
The bears like it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So don't the
And we've got
pollinators.
bluebirds now that we've never had before.
The ecosystem I've created in my yard over the past 3 years by just planting native is crazy. The amount of birds that have increased and everything, it's awesome. So to put that out there for other folks with kids and that are interested in gardening and nature and all that stuff, that's a fun little, and it can tag on with Sheila's community project of eradicating invasives and replacing them with natives.
Yeah, a lot of towns are making like the demonstration gardens on a piece of public property, whether it's like libraries or community centers, etc.
Oh, the community center would love it if I went.
And
Tried.
to show, cause people think like, oh, they're not showy. A lot of people think natives aren't showy. But there are a lot of plants that are very showy, and so in Southborough, there's this huge group of volunteers, like it's just not possible without it. One of the volunteers teams up with Dr. Jagir for the Beecology project, and he's researching which plants are most beneficial to our native bees and now working on for our butterflies as well. And so that's where a lot of those seeds are kind of focused on from those particular plants, and they've created this huge Excel spreadsheet, yep, that word, that talks about when things bloom, what type of, if it's sun, shade, and what kind of soil it likes, wet, dry, etc. And they've really broken it down into be easily digestible and like allow anyone to kind of do what George is doing and figure things out. So they clean all of the seeds, or they collect the seeds, clean the seeds, and then distribute them. And then we have a winter sow day or a couple days, where we hold a workshop and everyone brings their own supplies, but kind of talk through it and learn about native plants. And then hope that, those people could then add to the seed bank, in the future. So it's definitely something that takes a lot of effort to get off the ground. It definitely takes follow through, but it's possible. So I'd say,
And it's not something that's gonna happen overnight either, but you gotta start somewhere.
So there is, I don't know if you know, but the local grief organization, Hope Lives Here, is actually gonna be building a community grief garden right here behind the library on town property.
I
So
heard of that.
so maybe that's something where we could partner with them and help them,
Start,
get
Yes,
started.
that'd be awesome.
Cause we're looking for volunteers and donations, and if we can start some stuff from seedlings,
I've populated, so I'm pulling up all the turf on my hill strip and I'm putting all natives there. I'm making it a pollinator garden. I've gotten about halfway down the 80-foot run, and I've spent a total of $15.
Wow.
Everything
That's
else has
awesome.
been from splits, or I've started it from seed, or Brian had some tick seed. He said, dude, it's overrunning my garden, come and get some. So I grabbed a chunk of his, but that's the kind of, people don't realize that they think they have to go and spend thousands of dollars at nurseries to get plants, when a couple hours of your time, you can fill your yard for, the lupines I had, they were in gallon jugs. A gallon lupine at Bemis sold for $12.99. $12.99 times 16 is $200. That's a lot of money.
You could start raking in the dough.
Yeah.
Can I put them in touch with you?
And might
Would you
go
be
into
okay?
our.
Yeah,
Your
absolutely.
email address?
Absolutely,
Okay.
without question.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, have our own little plant sale.
Can we fund the eradication of
Right.
Japanese?
No, but seriously.
We could buy the
Put it in a
2%.
revolving fund.
Yeah.
We could buy the, we
That's
could buy
what I just said.
the,
Oh,
I
sorry.
was trying to be
Right.
smart,
Say
and I didn't know if it was right, so I whispered it.
Sorry.
buy the
Doesn't matter if
knotweed.
it's right anymore.
That when we do our
Yeah.
regs, we're gonna jack up the local filing fees to feed that fund too.
He said we could do a plant sale. I think
Yeah.
that's fine.
Do a
I love
plant
that
sale to
idea.
feed the knotweed.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we could collaborate with like the events committee and have it be part of
Yeah.
The
something.
library, the children's librarian will be all over that.
Oh my God, yes.
I
Fine.
just I've got the coolest pictures of monarch caterpillars in my gardens, like just all sorts of cool crap that my kids love, like especially my little one.
Now they have the greenhouse too at Glenwood. They
Yeah,
have a brand new
well, he
greenhouse
just
there.
left there, so I got greenhouses at my house. I got them inside.
George is like, they're dead to me now.
I'm done with that
Yeah.
school.
Do you know if the Hope Lives Here garden is overrun with knotweed,
I don't know
like where it's gonna be?
Cause that's a very good point based on the location of where it is.
Yeah.
I didn't consider that. Site visit.
We like our site visits.
Yeah.
I know where there's black swallowwort. On Central Tree Road.
Cool.
I just learned that plant on another site, but I'm like, oh, great, it's all over the place, apparently. Swallowwort, it's just, a vine you can just pull. It's already got the 5 little
I'm not even sure what it looks like.
berries, it's
Yeah, I don't know,
it's an invasive vine.
really?
I don't know about that one. Let's see, swallow one.
Black swallowwort, yeah, it's a bad scene.
No, no.
I got it on 2 sites, I don't know what to do.
Oh, I've got this in my backyard.
Throw it in the
It's so it'll have
fireplace.
5 little maroonish,
Yeah.
don't confuse it with the other one.
Yeah, which I definitely have this because every time it comes up, I'm like, oh, that's something that I planted. And it's definitely not.
It's a vine,
Anything named wart isn't good, right?
yes.
Right.
No, because there's St.
There's St. John's wort.
Oh, okay.
St. John's wort.
So the black swallowwort is, what's the other one? The other toxic one, that's not invasive.
Is poison ivy considered invasive?
Nope.
Nope, it's aggressive,
And
but it's a
native.
native plant, so it's.
And a lot of wildlife love
And
it.
itchy.
It's
Very.
And I didn't
You know,
get it.
Ooh, you're
Yes.
lucky.
It's, I'm
Just on your
not,
jacket, you were good.
I'm not allergic to
I have my
poison ivy,
finger.
but I'm allergic to the sun.
I got mine I got it in between my fingers
You
this
people
year.
are crazy. Well,
Okay,
Melissa,
I'm just gonna get me some good gloves and start
But
pulling
the
stuff
only
out.
other thing I was gonna mention was just to confirm that Skip has resigned. It's gonna go before the select board
Thank
at their
you.
June 23rd meeting to accept. And then the gentleman that was previously interested plans to attend our meeting on July 1st to again express his interest in the seat, once it's officially vacant.
That reminds me, I will not be here at our
I
next
will not be
meeting.
here.
so you were gonna say you were resigning? I was like, what do you mean?
Well, you all just voted to
You wouldn't be able to
reappoint me.
recognize
wouldn't
I
do
know.
that. No, July 1st, my wife and I are away, so,
And I'm
A
away
lot of
as well.
people, yeah, a lot of people are on vacation that week.
yeah.
Do we wanna, we could.
Do you wanna reschedule
Skip
to
our July
the
1st
the
meeting?
following
Do we have any new applications?
We don't. So we could technically skip it and do our July 15th meeting?
Sure.
I'd say let's plan
'Cause I
on
don't
skipping it unless something
Think we
emergent
have
comes up.
anything that we continued or?
No, we did Barry Paxton.
Yeah, my whole one was not till July 9th. I always move it, cause no one's ever around that week.
Yeah, that's a tough week. So do we wanna just cancel July 1 and do July 15th? Is
Yeah.
that the right date?
I mean, if something comes up that's needs immediate
Urgent?
attention, then
Okay.
we can reconsider, but sure,
DP's got it.
TP's got it.
They're on.
Said that they were. Alright, is there anything else for tonight?
Who's gonna
Nope.
make the motion if Skip's
Make a motion to
gone?
adjourn.
Will you be the new Skip?
Sure.
Oh, wait,
Sure.
I do wanna thank Skip though, I forgot, I didn't actually say it. For his, we didn't decide how many years of
Many, many
service, but
years.
many
Yeah,
years.
how long
thank
has he
you,
been on the
Skip.
commission?
Long time.
Wow.
It was in
Come
sections,
and go, yeah.
but
I'd say probably at least
I think
10
he's-
years or more.
I would think so.
He's been on the whole time I've been on, right?
He was on
Oh, God,
And that was
he was on
that was
before.
before that, and I know there was a
brief
brief
intermission.
gap somewhere in
Yeah.
there, but yeah, it's many,
Wow.
many, many years.
So,
Who's gonna bring me
I
cough
need 2
drops?
members.
And
I
eggs.
always brought me a cough drop.
Yeah.
Well, I still get the.
George, where's the?
or chocolate. Okay,
Sorry,
Bring chocolate?
we digressed.
only to Tamika.
Sorry, guys.
Alright,
I got a
Thank
book
you,
and a
Skip.
bag of chocolate today. Some lady left it on my desk.
You're gonna,
Nice.
was it poisoned?
No, it was a book with the pictures of flowers and a bag of chocolate. Was it poisoned? No, not this time.
Okay.
that have knotweed seeds.
She's still conscious, so no.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe it's slow acting.
I'm like, I hope this is under 50.
Alright,
We got a motion, we need a second.
Yep.
Second.
all those in favor by roll call?
Oh, yeah, me, come on. Williamson, aye.
Bjork and I.
Can't do what you
It's
had.
getting late.
Fair.
I know, we're losing it
Hands
now.
aye, we are adjourned 8:14.
So everybody get your clip.
Thank you.